Standing like a tree with my roots dug down, and my branches wide and open. Down in the sun, down came the rain, down came the fruit, and I'm feeling so free. I am standing so free. Standing like a tree with my roots dug down, and my branches wide and open. Down came the sun, down came the rain, down came the fruit, and I'm feeling so free. I am standing so standing like a tree with my roots dug down, and my branches wide and open. Down came the sun, down came the rain, down came the fruit, and I'm feeling so free. I am standing so free. fruit and I'm feeling so free. I am standing so standing like a tree with my roots stuck down, and my branches wide open. Down came the sun, down came the rain, down came the fruit, and I'm feeling so free. I am standing so standing like a tree with my roots stuck down, and my branches wide open. Down came the sun, down came the rain, down
Okay.
Okay, start now.
Okay. Hello, welcome to Accelerating Ascension. I'm Goode, and here's Stacy.
Hi, good afternoon.
Yes, we're broadcasting for the very first time from our Blue Chicken Cult studio, whatever we're going to call it, our home studio. We're really excited. We're going to be able to do a lot of content from here. I'm going to be able to do all types of interviews with people and go live at any time. It's very exciting.
Yeah, much more convenient.
Yeah, and we're going to be airing several interviews this week. Dr. Starr McKinnon, who I interviewed, we talk about trauma, because next week we're going to hit fully into the trauma part of the series. And Jeffrey Asher, we interviewed him. That was a great interview. Y'all are going to really enjoy that, about past life traumas, how they contribute to current life issues. And we'll be able to have more people on live to interview, like we're about to do with James Gilliland. As you can see, our spaceship is not, our comm system is not fully up and running. We should have that up here in the next week or two to where we'll be able to do a lot more. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring on James here. I think we've got a slide for those of you who don't know who James is. Well, is that a slide? Or is that a video? Oh, I have not rehearsed. Okay. Let's see. Bonus class. Sorry about that. I thought I had these queued up. So today we're going to be talking with James Gilliland. He established ECETI Ranch. He is an extraordinary man. I've gotten to know him on a couple of occasions. This last time I spent at ECETI when I was shooting part of this course was a time I really got to know him and his crew. And it was an awesome trip. Stacy can't wait to head there in July.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the experience. It keeps eluding me, so I know it's very special.
Right, right. So I'm going to put on my headset, and hopefully this works. We're going to invite James on. All right. Let's see. James, are you there?
I'm here. Do you want me to start the video, or?
Can you hear him? I can't hear him.
Do you want to start the video?
Here.
How about,
Can I use your headset?
you sure can.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right.
Sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, James, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Doing really good. How are things at the ranch?
They're doing great. I'm not sure if you want me to unmute the video yet, or do you want me to wait on that?
Oh, go ahead.
Uh-oh. Says the host has stopped it.
I don't know what that was.
I think you guys have to open it up.
Okay, I think Mike is following what's going on. Sorry about that, folks. This is our first broadcast, so we're working out the hiccups.
Yeah, it just pops up and says host. The host has to unmute the video.
There's an issue with, yeah, they're working on it.
Or we can just keep talking until then, or
Yeah,
whatever.
we can keep talking. So when was it that I came and spent a week there? Was that in February, wasn't it?
February.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm terrible about dates and times.
Oh,
you know, but I believe it was.
Yeah, it was February. Yeah, and I spent a week there, and you and your staff were wonderful hosts. I really appreciate the time I was there.
It was great having you here.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You're having an event in July. I have a feedback here I'm trying to get past. It's a little distracting. You have an event coming up July 4th weekend. Can you tell us a little bit about who's going to be there?
Well, hopefully you're there, and and I'll be there, and John Vabanco and Peter. We're trying to get him out. We may not be able to get him out because they have that travel ban going on, and he may not be able to get here from Australia. We've got a lot of other women that are lined up that we're talking to right now. I don't want to mention their names till we have them totally signed up. So we have a really good lineup of some very powerful women that are going to cover a lot of the different venues on what's happening. Boy, I should have had a list in front of me, but I don't. But it's going to be an amazing event because not only can you come and experience the energy here, you can hear the speakers, and then in the evening you can walk out and see the ships yourself or have experiences with some of the masters and other beings appearing here. So it's unlike any other conference because you can go and actually have your own experience.
Yeah, I hear people talk about, the CE5 events. I've been to some, but nothing compares to ECETI. It blows my mind. Even when I was there just for the week, every single night when there were not clouds in the way, there was something going on, either lights floating around the mountain or way up in the upper atmosphere. We even videotaped a couple of very interesting lights that were shooting like photon torpedoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're sending you all that right now. Robert, my AV guy, is sending all that. And so that you should have that in the next couple of days and just
cool.
The best of the best footage.
Awesome. Yeah, it's amazing. If it's a clear night, you pretty much have a guaranteed sighting.
Yeah, what's even more amazing is that this place is one of the most censored places on the planet. And just, and I don't want to go into a lot in depth, but there's just so much competition and censorship and controlled narrative, in the UFO community. And it's just a mind blower because, this isn't a 60-year-old experience that people are regurgitating over and over again. It's something that's ongoing and happening on a nightly basis. And it's not just seeing the ships. People are having contact and connecting with their star families and just having incredible downloads and healings and things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke in depth about what it is going on there at the ranch, what we're seeing. It's amazing. And I believe you and I talked about, or maybe it was John Vivanco, about the Merkaba and how that word was interchanged with chariot. Mm-hmm. And basically that these are Merkaba. I believe he remote viewed them, and they were Merkaba that were flying around. Yeah. And it was like a being that was merging with this other energy form to create locomotion.
Yeah, they create their own ships, basically. Some of these beings, they're like 5th up to 7th dimensional beings. And then we've had contact with beings up to the 13th dimension, but just amazing beings. I'm going to see if I can unmute this. It's still, nope, can't start the video yet. But anyway, it's an ongoing thing here. And what's really interesting is that we have the knowledge of who they are, their cultures, how they operate, their everything else. And unfortunately, we're still trying to prove that they're real, right. And I've never seen anything like it. We have the evidence, we have the video, we have the thousands and thousands of eyewitnesses. The ships come right on cue, on camera. With even Fox News came out here, and the ships came right on cue, and they filmed it. Hannity did a special on the place, which was amazing. But there's so many things going on here, and it's just an ongoing. Did you guys lose your? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I mean, there's ABC's been out here, all the major ones, all the local news has been out here, and every time there's a lot of Paranormal State specials, and Danny Dyer came out here, and he said he was on UFO overload. He went around the world to have an experience and see a UFO, and came up empty. And when he came here, he said he was on UFO overload. And we had some beautiful ships come in low treetop level, power up, and respond and pulse, the people on the ground. So it's out there. We've been doing this for 36 years now, so, I'm kind of wondering when people go, when are we going to have contact? I go, you're just not paying attention. We've had contact, 500,000 years ago.
Right. So when I was there and we did our interview, we spoke a lot about, well, spiritual warfare, angels. A lot of the people in this community, they come from Christian backgrounds, not all.
Yeah.
And we're familiar with the concepts of angels, archangels, different levels of servants of the one infinite creator. And then in this new age culture, we're talking about higher density beings. Is what in your opinion, is there any difference?
Not really. There are levels of consciousness and levels of intent, you might say. Some beings don't really have humanity's highest and best good. That's not their intention. They're very self-serving, and they've been around forever. We don't need to worry about being invaded. It's the ones that are already here that are being cleaned up. That's the problem. The ones coming in are the benevolent ones, the planetary liberators. And so, and that's been going on for a long time. And then there's some that are just neutral. Some of the beings are our ancestors that are returning, like the Pleiadians, the Orion Council of Light, and a lot of them are ancestral beings that are coming back. There's so many different groups out there. There's almost too many to cover, but the ones we work with mainly are the Pleiadians, the Orion Council of Light, the Andromedans, the Sirians, which are the feline beings, Arcturians, and some other ones that nobody even knows about, like the Laka or the Jasai, which are warriors. It's funny though, I'm seeing things. I was watching Supergirl the other day. It was really funny, and they have a guy with this staff, and this staff is this deal with a purple orb in the middle of it, and it's this incredibly powerful staff. And the Jasai actually carry these staffs, and I'm going, wow, they're getting this into the mainstream through some of these movies. It's just amazing how they're getting this information out, and they're saying the staff, they say just it's too powerful that if you're not fully enlightened and fully in service to Creator, you can't use this staff. So it's kind of interesting how this information is getting out.
It is. Right now, I know we discussed a little bit also about how these energy waves are coming in and really, affecting weather, affecting people's physiology, affecting people's behavior. We're seeing a lot of people who have a lot of traumas and related distortions that they had hid from themselves or thought that they had hidden from themselves. And right now, as this Christ consciousness energy is coming in, it's agitating all of those distortions. And we're seeing people getting pulled into these reactionary modes.
Exactly.
These ego, just little, I was shown recently by the Anshar, all of the people around me, to look at them, to see them almost as like these little vortex tornadoes, like these dynamos, they're cycling their own karma and trauma until they've processed it. And then it goes into this weird infinity figure eight kind of thing. But until they process it, it's just kicking around, causing them to repeat cycles. And I was warned implicitly not to warn others in this community when you see those around you going through that karma cycle to where they're just frazzled, they're reactionary. We who have gone through a process and have a little bit more control, we want to help others. But I was warned that we can have a major unintended karma entanglement if we interfere with their process of processing their karma, their traumas, and all of that. So it's something for all of us to keep in mind, because next I was really wanting to talk a little bit about spiritual warfare, but it's hard for us to fight in the spirit when we're frazzled. Have you noticed a lot of people in frazzled states? And if you have, what have you done to counsel them?
Yeah, God, man, my computer, emails, and we do transpersonal release sessions, and those are really intense. But where we go through and we clear. First, we find out who their main teacher and guide is. Then we clear any unseen negative influences off of them, and then we go into past life connections, clear those, and then we go into childhood trauma and go through the ages where they had a lot of childhood trauma, and then clear that out. And then we go into the beneficial lives and hook them into their Star Nation connections and things like that. And so what I'm seeing is that the bottom line is contact comes with enlightenment. So we need to rise to the occasion, because these are very spiritually and technologically advanced beings. And so we need to clear out the wounds and traumas and wrong conclusions from past experiences to actually have contact. Because if you were to stand in front of one of these beings who are exhibiting a very high frequency, that pure love and joy and bliss, it's going to, through sympathetic resonance, you're going to have to rise to the occasion. So you got to dump your stuff, and they're going to mirror back to you and accelerate or amplify your energy, on what your old wounds and traumas. And then at that point, people have a choice. They can go into projection and blame mode, or they can own it, take personal responsibility and say, yeah, this is my stuff. These are my emotions. This is what I'm feeling. Unfortunately, most of humanity are in reactionary mind. They're just reacting to everything, and they're expressing from the blame and projection mode. And if they're unconscious, when these energies come in, they're going to bring everything up, everything out. And so you have to master loving detachment through these times, because people are going to be going through their stuff. There's no way to avoid it. And so the earth itself is ascending. She's ascending. And the higher dimensional beings are pressing their consciousness and energy in on the earth, which is universal law, the basics, of universal peace, brotherly, sisterly love, individual freedom and prosperity for everybody. It's that unity consciousness that's pressing in. And humanity and their overlords and all that other nonsense that's going on is caught in the middle. It's kind of a purging process in a way. And, I always tell people the higher dimensional beings aren't going to come in and attack everything. That their frequency alone creates the purge, and they're here to bring a healing. But just their presence is going to cause these other groups to implode, and their real nature is, their masks are all going to come down. Their real nature is going to come out. And people are going to see everything for what it is. And we're in that process right now.
We absolutely are. I mean, we're in a process right now. I mean, even in our community, we're seeing people just unable to control themselves. Their ego distortions are popping out, and they're taking sides, and they're pulling apart. It's sad to see, but I was told that we're like something like 8 waves in, where there are like 13 waves or something of energy coming in. I mean, we're really only a little over halfway or 3/4 of the way through. And from what I'm told is, I'm glad people are taking this course and are focusing on healing their traumas and coming to terms with their karma, because those who don't, these energies are only going to increase and increase as the months and years go by. And I was told it's going to get so bad with people being so reactionary and acting out all around us that we're not going to want to leave our home. We're not going to want to leave our homes.
Yeah, I think we've seen that. It's getting crazy. And I kind of see, and I don't like to get into polarities, but there are polarities out there, and there are people who are totally self-serving, and they've aligned with these energies, and you can call them satanic, Luciferian energies. They're very self-serving. They're in a hierarchy, and they're pretty messed up. And I've noticed most of the people that are attacking us are aligned with those energies, or they have serious heroin addiction problems or things, drug histories, and they're very wounded, very traumatized people, and they're really calling out for help. They're calling out for help.
Yeah, very wounded people.
Yeah, and the people that are holding the light and holding the frequency, there's two things I want to say about that. One is being a Christ doesn't mean being a doormat, so
Right.
you just don't let them run over you. You have to make a stand. But the second thing about that too is that, I love this one master I studied with. This one kid came up to me, says, I want to become a Christ, a Buddha. I want to, and he says, you do? And he said, yes. And he goes, they'll hate you. And he goes, what do you mean they'll hate me? And he goes, you're going to reflect back to them everything they love and don't love about themselves, and you're going to amplify it. And so they're either going to really love you if they're very loving beings, or they're really going to hate you if they're very angry and weak.
Or from what I've seen, they will love you, love you, love you until a part of them is not validated, or they're disillusioned in some way, and then it pivots, so it's human nature.
Well, we have people come here all the time, and they'll say that they're Jesus incarnating, or Mary, or things like that. And I just said, well, that's actually a limitation, because you have an identity now. You're trying, and also too, you got some pretty heavy shoes to be walking in. So if you can't really walk across the pond out here, I wouldn't be going after the Vatican. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to go to the Vatican and try to take it over. And I said, I'd wait, after you walk on water, maybe go try it, because they're going to expect a sign.
Right.
So, it just doesn't work that way. But, the thing that a lot of people don't realize, they have the enlightenment process backwards. And everybody's trying to leave this planet and become something bigger or greater. But when you bring that energy down into the earth and ground it through your body, your whole body starts vibrating. Every cell in your body starts vibrating, and then the body ascends. So, and also too, becoming nobody is so powerful, becoming nothing, because out of the nothing comes everything. And if you're nobody or nothing, there's nobody to defend, and there's nothing to worry about. So, and then you can practice that loving detachment, where you can just allow people to do their thing and make suggestions now and then, or sometimes self-love demands you just walk away. You say, okay, let me know when you're ready, and one of the things, when I was meditating, Babaji came to me and he said, don't water seedlings with a fire hose, So I had to learn to really tune into people, see where they're at, how much they can handle. And sometimes I like just pushing buttons anyway. It's kind of fun. You see that big button, but if you're going to push buttons, you better have that loving detachment down so it doesn't affect you, because and it's really hard to do with people you care and really love about. Sometimes you'll push their buttons to get them to look at some things, but there's going to be a backlash,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so you have to get out of any need for acceptance and approval or any of that.
A lot of what we're dealing with the energies affecting our state of consciousness. We also have entity attachments. We have a lot of entities out there. We may have habits, thought processes that through different parts of our chakra system, we create portals to allow these beings in. How do you counsel people that believe that they have entity attachments, or they're being harassed in some way by some sort of an entity?
Well, the first thing we do is just clear them. They're very easy to clear and get off and we have that on the website. If anybody goes to,
but you've got to close that door, so they don't.
Yeah.
Just
well, that's what we do. We close their aura off to all but their own Christ or I himself, or whatever name you, Buddha self, Mary self, Kuan Yin, whatever you want to get it. But we do that, and then we teach them how to keep their own energies clear, because it's part of their own self-authority to learn how to heal these unseen negative influences. And it's very easy to do. I mean, this is our body, this is our life, this is our free will, and we need to honor that and not keep giving our power away to all these other beings, because most people are like batteries, and some people's batteries have no charge in them whatsoever, and they're just out there trying to tie into anything to get validation or get love or acceptance and approval. And other people, batteries are like 3/4 or so, but the bottom line is you're leaking. you know, your battery's leaking if you're hooking into all these other external gods and beings and everything else, you know, unless you're hooking into the ones that are there to empower you to make your own personal connection with source, you know, or God, or whatever you want to create, or whatever you want to call it. And those beings will teach you and guide you and even help you heal yourself and things like that. But it goes back to extreme discernment on who are you working with, you know. A lot of these beings, there's faker spirits out there that will tell you they're Jesus or Mary or Buddha, things like that, and they're not. And so you always do clearings no matter what. Before doing any spiritual practice, I always tell people, do clearings, clear your space, create sacred space, and then do your practice. And if you don't like what you're feeling, do a healing. You know, if the energy starts getting off, stop, do a clearing, do a healing. And it's imperative right now. We actually have photographs of women who are oversensitive with entities coming down over them. And it's triggering their past lives, everything, their astral bodies. And you got to see everything going on there in the photograph. And I always show that photograph, and I tell people not all your emotions are yours. You know, you're getting them from these other entities, from friends and families. A lot of the angers, the sadness, the sorrow, all that stuff. Sometimes it's not even yours. And either way you look at it, it isn't you. It's not who you are, because at the core of your being, you know, you're this loving, joyous, powerful God being. Is what you are, God or goddess. And that's the core of your being. And that's what all the masters taught. Even Jesus taught that, you know, that to go within, you know, the temple is within. And, and you know, so basically that's what it's about. But I see all these beings come to people and they tell them how special they are, and they're faker spirits, and they tell them they're the chosen ones, and they tell them all this stuff, and then they become a channel, and then they open up a YouTube channel and they start going on and talking about about the high order that they are and all this other stuff. Well, you know, when you're enlightened, you realize there is no hierarchy. There's just consciousness, and you're in pure love and joy and bliss. That's the highest consciousness. And that point, that 0 point, is within each and every person. And so when we go in and connect to that, that's when things start really happening. You know, we got to do the homework. And the other thing too is that, you know, we got to clean up. We got to deal with our dark side. You know, we got to clean up the wounds and traumas and wrong conclusions from past experience, including past life experiences, because all that has a frequency to it, and it's holding our frequencies down. And the higher beings can't fully connect with you until we do that. And that's why I tell people contact comes with enlightenment, which is exactly what most of the UFO community is trying to keep out of the project. They want you focusing on nuts and bolts and abductions and things like that. You know, well, what about consciousness and the higher dimensional beings? You know, the spiritually and technologically advanced beings. And if you start talking about that, you're going to be totally censored, you know, out of the UFO community. It's sad, but that's where they're at.
Yeah, agreed. You know, you were talking about some of the methods, or you alluded that you have methods of clearing people of entity attachments and
exactly.
teaching. Do you do workshops, or how do you teach people these types of methods?
Yeah, we do classes, self-mastery, ambassador training classes here. I talk about it in the workshops and in the conferences too. I talk about it. We clear everybody that comes here basically constantly.
Yeah.
We're constantly keeping the frequency high here and holding the frequency, because if we don't, they won't come, you know. And so the higher dimensional beings are saying to us, we have to maintain a frequency. And we can't drop down into all the baser emotions of fear, sadness, sorrow, jealousy, competition, all that stuff. We have to stay out of that and hold a frequency if we are going to have contact.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got a little distracted there.
No worries.
Let's see. We've got a lot of questions. Let's see. Someone just asked, how do I know if I have entity attachments? Go ahead and read the name of the person, please, Stacy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can we hear
okay.
Stacy?
Yeah, Katharina Schmidt Kufke. I tried.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, she wants to know, how do you know if you have entity attachments?
Okay. Yeah, James, did you want to take that
Yeah.
one?
Well, basically, feeling excessive sadness or sorrow or fear or things like that, usually there's attachments. And I want to explain one thing too. It's like moths coming to a flame. The brighter your light is, the more you have to take personal responsibility and keep that energy clear, because entities are going to come to you. So the closer you get to nirvana, the more the demons rear their ugly heads. That's an old Sanskrit saying. And so people don't believe it. They think there's something wrong with them because they're being attacked. You're being attacked because you're doing something right. You know, you're not a threat. You know, if you're a threat to them, they're going to come after you. If you're just, you know, a muggle and you're in social consciousness and you're socially engineered and programmed, you're not a threat. They aren't going to bother you. You know,
Right.
so don't take it personally and know you're doing something right. You know what I could do? What I'd love to do in the room, it's kind of fun to do, is that we could clear everybody in the room.
Oh yeah, let's do
What
that.
happens.
Is everybody cool with that? Everybody in the room cool with that? Thumbs up.
And if you're not, it's okay to leave.
Yeah, put your fingers to your ears. Yeah.
Yeah. We still love you. Anyway, okay. Just sit back for a second.
Okay. Hey, hang on just a second. Hang on just a second. Let's let your audio catch up. It's breaking up a little bit. So maybe, you know, speak kind of slow and steady.
All right. That happens when you start doing this kind of work. You're gonna you get AI, grays, everything coming in to stop it. So, but we'll clear them out anyway.
Let's do that. Let's do it.
Okay. So just kind of settle in for a second. Just focus on love and joy and bliss, and just go to a place where you were happy. You know, find that place when you're a child, that pond or that river, that forest, and just kind of relax into it. And we're going to welcome all the beautiful many. And we're going to welcome all entities that need healing. And we're going to tell them they're filled and surrounded in the Christ light, the Buddha light, or the QnA light, whatever light you want to use. They're filled and surrounded with the Christ love. And then we're going to ask the beautiful many to come forward and take all these entities to their perfect place. And we usually start out with telling them they're healed and forgiven, lifted and enlightened, and healed and forgiven, lifted and enlightened until they reach their highest potential. And then see your own body just filled with the love and the light. You can use any color you want. I usually use the golden light and the green light for healing. And just see that totally saturating your energy, your fields, and closing your auras off to all but your own higher selves, Christ selves, God selves, I am selves, whatever you want to name it. And again, ask the beautiful many to escort these entities to their perfect place. Go in peace. And then we always give thanks. Oh, there it went. All right. So how's that feel? Hope everybody's feeling better.
Yeah.
You probably see the chat. The chat will light up now, usually, from people.
Right.
And what was that? You know?
What just happened?
So that's how you tell if you had entity attachments. If you felt, I'm seeing people saying, wow, you know, that was, you know, but, you know, this class that you're doing, and Stacy, I haven't met you yet, but I can't wait to meet you. Thank you for all the work you do. But what you're doing here with Liz and everybody is just amazing. Even the song, when you opened up, I was sitting there listening to this song and the whole room filled up with Palladians. And I was getting like tears and everything. I was just going, oh my God. This is like a portal here, you know, to the higher dimensional being. So, so anyway, don't have anybody shortcome your work. This is amazing what you're doing here.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Stacy and I have been humbled and blown away at the feedback. We haven't even really gotten into the deep topics of the course yet, and people are already experiencing a lot of joy and healing just from some of the extra content that we're putting on, some of the meditations and what
Positive affirmations.
positive affirmations.
Oh, yeah. Well, the lineup you have is amazing. You know, Alex gave me this jacket, Alex Bloom. So,
Oh, did he?
Yeah. So that was kind of nice. I go, yeah, I'll wear it. You know, this is great. You know, but
Yeah, he's a good guy.
yeah, he's going to be a really good one for your courses.
Yeah, he had some really good information, and it was really interesting to see him when he was at your ranch, how open he is and how hungry he is for spiritual information and anything that can help him in his practice help other people. It was just beautiful to see someone open to these ideas that are helping people with their traumas.
Yeah, and he has the foundation. He has the you know, the degrees, and he went through college and all. He has the foundation, and now he's using that foundation and adding to it the higher wisdom, the higher ways of clearing people. And you know, I've had university professors come out here that were psychologists, and they couldn't believe what we were doing here, and they said that's, you know, there's no way you can do that. They go, that's not real. And I said, well, you can't really say that until you sit in the chair, you know. And so they sat down in the chair, and the next thing you know, they're like in a fetal position, like crying, because all their stuff came up. And they go, yeah, I guess it does work, you know. So I just see it as the higher consciousness and energy, you know, that comes in, the other stuff goes out, and you can heal very quickly and gracefully.
You can. You know, people, they're afraid to approach their traumas and other, you know, insecurities, because you think, oh, that's like, mine's bad. That's 10 years of therapy, sitting across from somebody, watching them grow old, paying them money to talk about myself. No, thank you.
Yeah.
But I had a massive healing and energetic release when I was in Maui. It was just a completely perfectly orchestrated thing, and I went with the flow, and I was able to get a massive amount of healing in a very short period of time. And I know through talking to some of the people who are going to be presenting in my course and yourself, they have all, and you have seen people go through incredibly quick healings and release these energies, you know,
exactly,
and have immediate results.
You know, I found a little secret because I've been doing this since 5 years old. I had near-death experiences and beings appearing to me and everything else. And then when I had the drowning, I went through the tunnel and ended up in the source, you know, this golden plane of bliss. And I had a conversation with, you know, what people might call creator. Everybody has a different name for it. And what I found out is that it doesn't have an ego. It can't judge. It's beyond that. It's not male. It's not female. It doesn't have a beard. It's just pure consciousness and energy, and it can't judge. It doesn't have that ability. So I learned from that. I go, wait a second. If the creator doesn't judge, you know, who's judging? You know, and I found it, and they told me, they go, you keep your books. You know, it's your own guilt, you keep your books, and you can forgive yourself because forgiveness is already there. And even Jesus said that, you know, he goes, nor do I judge thee, nor does my Father judge thee. Go and sin no more. He goes, just quit screwing up, you know, change your course. And it's really that simple. It's not that complicated. And you can let go of anything. And a lot of these people that are some of the darkest people on the planet can actually shift. They can change. Some won't, you know, some will take it to the very end. But, you know, you can shift your consciousness and shift into, you know, assisting in the awakening healing process and divert your energies and assets to the awakening healing process. Or you can hold on to that and hold on to your karma and take that downward spiral. And that's a lot of, they're not frequency specific to the earth in the ascension process. So they're going to take themselves out, and they're going to lose everything. Because you can't stop what's happening. It's galactic. It's bigger than you can imagine, and it's unstoppable. It just, we get to choose how we participate in it.
Absolutely. I agree. Did you want to read more questions?
Yeah, there are some more questions about like the negative entities.
Okay.
We can go back to that because I know it's a big subject. Lou is asking, once we clear, how do we prevent negative entities from re-entering our space? I
Yeah,
have
it's
to do the
yeah.
clearing every 10 minutes. What am I doing wrong? Are they doing something wrong?
You may be doing something right. You know, as soon as I get up in the morning, I do clearings. And then usually I go in around 1 or 2 and do a little meditation and do clearings again. And then the evening before I go to bed, I do more clearings. And then in between, people are calling me and texting me and saying, hey, you know, I'm getting hammered today. Can you send some clearings? And so we're helping them. So we're doing them 24/7 here at the ranch. I know one thing that can help, if you know who your main teacher and guide is, that really helps. If you don't know, you can use one of the standards, like, you know, I call him Yeshua ben Joseph, but Jesus, people call him Jesus. You can call Buddha, Babaji, Kuan Yin, White Eagle. It doesn't matter. All the higher beings are unified, you know, from the 5th dimension on up. They're all locked arm in arm. It's down here where we have all the divisions and separations and belief systems and everything that creates the chaos. And so it's good to find out who your main teacher and guide is. And if you can't, you know, when you go to bed at night, just do the clearings and ask them to show you who they are. Ask them to show you what you need to know, what you need to learn, and then ask for healing before you go to bed every night. It's so important to do that. And I do that when I wake up in the morning. Okay, so how can I serve in the highest and best good this morning? What can I do? And lately it's, you know, I'm out in the gardens. I'm out there, you know, planting the gardens right now. And that's my church. You know, my church is nature and being in the gardens and tuning into these higher dimensional beings and helping others, basically.
Oh, thank you, James. Did you have another that was?
Yeah, there's another. How do I know that my trauma from previous lives is cleared?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what we do here. That's the counseling work we do here. You could sign up for a counseling, or you can meditate on it and just ask. You know, you can get a yes or no signal, and you can sit down and just meditate. First, do a clearing and just say, okay, can you give me a yes signal? And it might be a pulse and energy. Your hands might twitch. You might feel energy moving through your spine or something for your yes signal. You can use divining rods to do it as well, to get a yes
Pendulum.
signal.
Yeah, I've seen people use pendulums.
Always do clearings. Yeah, do clearings before you use the divining rod or pendulums, because, you know, the mind in which you seek is the mind in which you connect. So your mind is going to connect to the entities that, you know, and so you really have to clear your own consciousness first and then connect in, because if you just do it willy-nilly, you know, like you can, you know, you might hook into Joe at Joe's garage, you know, and he'll help you fix your car maybe, but he's not going to give you much about the higher consciousness and energy or healing.
So what else do we have? The questions?
Oh, James, do you do these clearings online, or do you have to be there in person?
No, we do them online, and mainly we're doing more online. If you just go to the ECETI.org website, you can sign up. And because the demand is so great, and we haven't been doing them in person this summer, I might start doing some in person, but mainly we do them online. And it works in the quantum. It works just as well. People always tell me, they say, well, call me right after you're done. And I said, no, you need to sit with it for a while. And they go, no, call me. And they're usually out. I mean, we wait. We said, no, there's a reason we'll call you in the afternoon, or we'll call you tomorrow or something. Because when we do these clearings, people just go out. I mean, and usually they're so blissed out, they can't even talk anyway. So we give them a chance to settle in, you know, after the clearings.
Awesome, thank you. You know what I just realized? You had given us a slide for April Skywatch.
Yeah.
Was there a video that you wanted us to play?
That is a video.
Yeah. If you want to play that, that was just a recent Skywatch. You can see some of the activity here, and
Sure.
we have
Yeah,
even more coming. We have some better stuff coming.
Okay, I think it's going. Were you able to play it, Mike?
It's playing
Hey,
for me.
moving? Oh, that guy's going slow. Look how slow he's going.
Okay, we see the video. When you
Just
talk,
above the
it goes
clouds.
about
Power up to Jesus.
It's Good Friday. Power up for Jesus.
We have a
Come
great
on, you can
sense.
do it.
what?
Hallelujah. Say hallelujah. Power up. Yeah, it's coming right over us. There it goes.
So what are we looking at here?
It's powering up. All right. Thank you. It's our Good Friday
It's,
power up.
Yeah, it looks like what a lot of
That's
what we were
cool.
seeing.
Holy shit.
That's you.
Oops.
Right there.
I should censor that.
That is a ship.
Hey, what's up, guys?
I was just joking around. I go, I want something that big on the horizon.
Yeah, that's you right there, baby.
It's cruising slow. Look at that. Look how big that thing is. That's a keeper. Yeah, it's kind of flashing and then going out. What's weird is it's going south. You know, it's definitely not the space station. It's something big going. That was massive. That was funny. I go, that's what I want to see, something just like that. And I thought it was a big star coming in over the house, right over the trees. This one may do something. Come on, you can do it. Fire it up. It's getting a little brighter. It's funny, they always brighten up right over the house. And then they just dim out. I'm gonna blast it with a big blaster. Get the Andromeda signal. It's getting cold out here. This is a pretty nice one. Color does that one look?
No, it's kind of weird. But most nights they just kind of look white.
Yeah. Wow, that guy's streaking. There's the tree. Yeah, look at that. Huh? It is. That's right over the house. I was trying to get the house in there too, but I don't know if I can. That one's right over the house. There we go. There's the trees. There's the house. Oh, right there. That's my little place. And now he's right over the trees. Look at that. Look how it's coming down. It's almost like it's going to land over there. Look at that. Huh? It's going down. Dimming down. It does. It turned, didn't it? Oh, yeah, yeah. Definitely not any of the satellites that we know. Oh, it's got a little guy above it. It's got a little guy coming down on it. It's really hard to see. Yeah, there's a little tiny guy coming down right on top of it. It's shadowing it.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Oh, another one. There's another one coming right at it.
Yep.
You see that?
Yep.
There's two. One just buzzed it. Another one came right at it. And the other one,
The other one's right in front of it.
yeah, it phased out.
And the one in front of it's
It's still going, but there was one coming at it that was coming from the front straight at it. And one coming down on the top of it. And the one coming at it just disappeared.
the one out front is picking up its lead.
Yeah, it's out. It's way out there. That was interesting. I see one of the, well, I don't know. That one's going down. Look at it.
Oh, flash bulb up here.
Where? I got him. Little dinky guy. Come on, you can do it. Flash it. There we go. Come on, flash. Flash it. I don't think that one's going to do anything. The satellites coming in. That string of satellites that Bilbo Baggins launched.
Come on, again. See it?
Yeah,
I see it.
I got him on film. Oh, there he goes. Nice.
Wow.
Nice flash.
Again.
He's signaling back.
There he goes. Get ready. Get ready for the big build-up. Come on. There it goes. Boom. Not very big. It's pulsing, though.
That's big enough.
Yeah.
But hold on.
There it goes. Whoa, got it. There it goes. That's dead. Whoa, I saw there's two. There's two of them. There's one right behind the other.
Saw that other flash bulb?
Yeah, there's two.
Yeah.
There's two of them there. There, boom. Oh, that's a nice one.
Light her up. Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
That's a nice one right over us. Going north. That was quite a power up. I wonder if it's going to do it again. Come on, light her up one more time. We're going in. It's cold out here.
Really, really cool.
That was cool. Right over the house, it powered up. Holy crap! Where are you going? Where's this thing going? Look at that. Look at that. Look at its picked up speed. It's just booking. You see that?
Where at? Oh, you still pointing up?
Yeah.
Oh, right here?
It's way over. Yeah, it's way over there now.
Yeah.
It just like put the afterburners on. It's out of here.
She's cooking it.
It came in slow. It's a pretty good one. I got my power up. That's got a big oar on it. That's kind of going the same trajectory that really big one we filmed last night.
Yeah.
Except the other one was lower.
Ooh,
You see him?
big flash bulb right
Yeah, I did.
No. Where?
there. Huge flash bulb like right there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's right where that one's going, isn't it?
Right there. Still going. Yep. I'm going right under the two.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right there. Thank you.
I got them both.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you.
I don't know if I'm on mute or not.
That one's phased out to nothing. Flashbulb guy's still going.
Is it?
Barely.
I think it's almost over.
Okay, you're on candid camera.
There we go.
Okay, so those videos are extraordinary, but it really doesn't do it justice. I mean, when you are standing there in the field, seeing this with your naked eye, and holding up the night vision and looking, pulling it away, looking, and you can't, it's undeniable what you're seeing. And
Yeah.
I didn't see any really good videos of the light orbs that come off the mountain. That's, to me,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
one of
that's
the most
all
amazing
on the
things.
website. Yeah, that's all on the website. And then that's just like 20 minutes one night, 10 minutes another night in April. And so just to show people it's still happening, it's still going on. But we have them landing, morphing into 3 objects back to 1 again, massive ships landing. And they've all been remote viewed by John Vivanco. And what's interesting is his group came up with the same information I've been telling for a long time, is that when they remote viewed the ship, that video, they said that they go, we can't understand this because we're getting like humanoid beings that look like cats, like feline beings. And the ship is, they create the ship, their collective energy, and they can create their own ships and fly around just like a Merkaba. And they didn't understand what they're seeing. And I said, well, yeah, it's a Merkaba. They create their own Merkaba. These are high dimensional beings, and they are the ship, and they can appear and disappear wherever they want to. They can travel. That's how they travel. And they are feline beings. And there's 3 levels of feline beings. There's some humanoid ones that are all replete throughout our ancient history, especially in the teachings, of the Vedas and things like that, talk about them. Narisha and Narshringa, and in Egypt they have Sekhmet, and they talk about these feline beings that are humanoid, and they're very advanced beings, and they're coming in too to help. They're very protective, and they're helping out a lot of the light workers right now.
Yeah, it's true. You've called them in to help me some.
Yeah, you got to experience the light beings there.
Yeah, when I'm getting hit left, right by the Lucy's, you've called them in to help me a couple times.
Yeah, they're a good cleanup squad. They don't, you got a 7-foot tall line being show up, the other ones kind of back out pretty quick.
Yeah. When you called one in the room at ECETI, when you were clearing the hall before we were going to shoot video, I believe. I felt that it was extremely cold in the room. It was cold there. And when you were doing the clearing, just from my feet all the way up, it worked all the way up, was just this heat, this, I don't know, it's hard to describe. It was just an all-encompassing heat that just moved up. And then I had to go outside and take my jacket off in the freezing cold weather to cool off.
Yeah, I noticed the line beans, the Andromedans, and some of the really powerful beans, they come in hot. They're really hot energy because our body's at a certain density and they're a much higher density. So when the two interact, and it creates heat, you know. And when the Pleiadians come in, it's cool. It's like a cool, graceful energy. It's really beautiful. And they all have different energy signatures. They have different lights that come with them. You can see clairvoyantly, they're all different. And like when the Mary energies come in, it's pink. The whole room turns pink. It's just beautiful energy. Actually, we have some photos we'll show later that have photos of them appearing.
Awesome. Yeah. Did you have more for us to look at here?
Yeah, there should be some photos on there.
Oh, wow. What's this? Oh, another video.
I don't know what that is. Let me see.
Is it the same one?
Skip forward.
I think that's the same one.
Yeah, it's the same one.
Yeah,
okay. Well, perfectly. You're talking about the feline races right now.
Yeah, and here's a photograph, and these have all, Jason Gleaves, who's he was with the Royal Air Force, and he does investigations on all this paranormal and UFO activity, and he's very good at what he does. And I've seen him debunk all kinds of things. And we sent him our stuff, and he says, "Boy, I've never seen anything like this." And these are some of the pictures we sent of. This is one of the feline beings appearing, you know, at the ranch. We can go on to the next one. And this is the energy. This is after a workshop we did here with remote viewing. That's John Vivanco and myself and a few others. You see the energy coming in because it's a vortex here.
Yeah, I witnessed something similar. The first time I went out in your field at night, someone handed me the night goggles, and I saw what looked like plasma balls just raining out of the sky into the middle of your field over where people do meditations.
Yeah, it's we're on a vortex, and we're on two ley lines that cross, and so the energies we're on a highway of orbs, you might say. But it's amazing. See if we can flip to the next.
It's an amazing place.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
So this is Mary. This is Mary, and she actually appeared during a self-mastery teacher's training class. And when she came into the room, everybody was the women were crying, and everybody felt the energy. It was intense. And I had a Taoist monk by the name of Khan that was taking the class. He was in the back, and he grabs his camera and he pulls it up and takes a picture. And he actually got a photograph of her appearing in the conference building there. And I want to do a little disclaimer, because this is the divine feminine energy. That's not a religious thing. You know, she's here for everyone. She's especially here for the children. And she's very, I guess we have a little unstable internet, but she's very instrumental in a lot of this cleanup that's going on. The divine feminine energies are cleaning up a lot of the harm that's being done to children, and a lot of this other nonsense is being cleaned up right now. And on the right side, this is CG. We have ECETI Australia with Peter Slattery. People should look into his work. I know you have him. You're going to have him on in your shows probably pretty quick, but he's amazing. And he's getting photographs of the Pleiadians appearing to him, all these other beings. Let's go to the next one. This is QnA, and the one on the right was taken by Peter Slattery, where she actually physically manifests almost. And the one on the left was taken by Kathy. And Kathy works here. She's one of the volunteers that's here, and she gets amazing paranormal photograph. And you can see the energy appearing there, and that's actually QnA appearing just as an energy being right there. And I think we might have a couple more. Let me see what's on the, go to the next one. Oh yeah, that's a recent visit where there's Peter Slattery and myself, and there's Corey, and there's John Vivanco.
Yeah.
the Four Musketeers there, you know, but, you know, but we're all,
Okay.
I
Well,
think that's it. Just, we have a ton of pictures of paranormal pictures and beings, and we have pictures of Baba G appearing here and a lot of other masters. So it's strange here because it's not just UFOs and it's not just masters. The elementals, the nature kingdom is here. We have photographs of fairies and gnomes and Bigfoot cruising around the property. It's crazy. There's so much. I even brought this. Here you go.
what was that?
That's my little Bigfoot call, you know.
Do they answer you or throw things at you?
You know, we put apples out for them and they come and take the apple. And we put peanut butter out there and they'll unscrew the jar, they'll eat the peanut butter, put the lid back on and set it back up, you know, on a stump or something. So, you know, I always tell people go, oh, the animals did that. I go, really, what kind of animal unscrews the lid, puts it back up on a post, and that's like, you know, 6-7 feet up? You know, I said, show me a raccoon or somebody that would do that. It's just not possible.
Well, the peanut butter may have evaporated.
Yeah, exactly. A whole can in one evening.
So do you have any more questions that look good?
I was trying to find this one question that I had seen.
Okay.
They were talking about, it was a question for James. Have you noticed more UFO activity ever since this virus thing has been going on? And if so, what has caused the uptick in that?
Yeah, they're helping energetically. You know, they can send a frequency and just knock this thing out. We have the technology to do that as well. We could hook these frequencies up into satellites if we had the right people behind these technologies, and we could send the frequency to knock these viruses right out. This is all going to be exposed. I don't want to go too deeply into this, but nothing is as you think it is. And we need to expose the war and disease profiteers that, you know, they release the virus, they create the virus, they hold the patent on the virus, they make money on the other end, the vaccines, and then they get billions of dollars, you know, for the cure. And the cure is to get rid of the disease profiteers. You know, that's the cure, basically.
Right. Yeah, believe it or not, Stacy was doing a little research today, and she found out there's a video game, sim game, that is going crazy. It's called Plague. And you basically create a virus, you name it, and then you find ways to propagate it across the planet, believe it or not.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, this game came out in 2012. And in my research, at the end of February, the Chinese government made it unattainable to the to your
Chinese,
phone app from iTunes or whatever, from Apple.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So do we have any others?
Well, there's a ton of questions here.
A ton of questions, I'm sure.
Did we cover all the feline types? People are wanting to know all
yeah.
three.
I interrupted you, I think, when you were talking about the different types of felines. Did you cover them?
Yeah. There's humanoid cat beings. They're very tall. They're more explorers and protectors. They're very loving. A lot of people are having encounters with them right now. A lot of those ships are their ships that we're getting. They're landing. They're protecting the mountain and what's going on inside the mountain, which is another story. But they're here on a big way. There's beings that are 6-dimensional. Those are 5-dimensional. The 6-dimensional ones are panther beings, and they're upright panthers. They walk upright. And when Khan was here, one appeared to him. It was so funny because when he saw it, he goes, oh, and he was holding his heart, you know, and he's saying, so much love, so much love. And then he goes, then afterwards, it's funny, he goes, sexy body, you know, like, which was hilarious because when they move, they're so graceful and they're so elegant when they move. And I've had them jump in front of me and sway back and forth with their tail moving, you know, and like come play, you know, they want to come play, but they're beautiful beings. And then the 7th-dimensional ones are lion beings, and they're up to 17 feet tall, and they are the protectors of the gods. They're throughout all ancient cultures talk about them, and they're protectors of the gods. They even were protectors of the Anunnaki until they fell. And not all the Anunnaki fell. Some went on and they went back to their planet and they ascended and they went into the higher dimensions. And the ones that fell got caught up in turf wars and you know, wars and battles and competition and things here. And we're still dealing with that to this day. But that's being cleaned up by the benevolent ones that are returning. So, and they are returning with the lion beings, who are the benevolent protectors. And so they mainly come from Sirius. They're also in ancient Lyra. They're explorers, and they travel, and they're protectors, basically.
Awesome. These are great questions, everyone. I'm enjoying hearing the answers myself. Let's see what else we have.
Yeah, also, too, some of the information I'm giving is way over the top. You know, some people aren't ready for it, and I know I'm kind of feeding some seedlings with a fire hose, so I apologize for that. But there are people that want to know this information.
Yeah, somebody is asking what's happening in the mountains.
Yeah, we had some amazing things happen. We had some remote viewing classes where they looked into the mountain. I've been looking into the mountain for a long time and been in contact with beings in there. And there's multi-levels to what's happening in the mountain, and it's happening in multi-dimensions. So it's really hard to explain the whole thing, but a lot of the beings from, they call them inner earth, went into the mountain during the changes and cataclysms. And those are like the Atlanteans and Lemurians and those people. When they went in there, they found another race already there that were more etheric. They weren't quite physical. And they were working with them. And a lot of what we mythologically call elven beings and fairies, things like that, that's replete throughout there. That's one level. There's also like a galactic airport there on another level. And then in the mountain itself is this device that's just pumping energy out. And you can actually film it if you have PIP technology or Harold Oldfield's technology. You can actually film the energy coming off that mountain. There's more energy coming off the mountain than there are the pyramids. It's just amazing. And you can see it. And it's actually holding the frequency and keeping the planet together and helping us with the ascension process. So there's so many levels to what's going on there, and the remote viewers all saw different parts of it. And when I did the remote viewing there, they don't tell you, they just give you a number. They don't even tell you what you're looking at or anything, and they gave us the number. And I drew a picture of the mountain. I drew what was inside of it. I had a little doorway where they appear. The ships come in and out of this one doorway. I had a little Bigfoot standing guard in the remote viewing drawing, you know. And it was really funny, and I had a light ship going over, and I wrote all of it down, and it's a very powerful process. Actually, John is going to be doing a workshop here at the end of May, hopefully, you know, if things open up. And it's just amazing what we can do. Our mind is not local, it's non-local, and we can go out and explore other dimensions, go forward or backward in time. Amazing workshops. I mean, what made me a believer is one of the targets was Lincoln's assassination. And so I drew a black hat, and I drew a theater and the balcony and a big black vortex of energy going up. And I said, and a head wound. I got a really bad headache when I was drawing it. And then I drew a black cat on it. And so when they said this was Lincoln's assassination, I hid everything else. But when I drew the cat, I go, what does a cat have to do with this? It makes no sense whatsoever. And then we Googled it, and we found out Lincoln was the first one to bring a cat into the White House, and it was black, and it's still wandering the halls today. It's a ghost cat that people see now and then. So it's kind of interesting how you get this information and you have no pre-knowledge of it or anything. It's a very powerful process.
Excellent. Do you see any others that look good?
Well, here's one. Who are the Ascended Masters? Are they located in Inner Earth?
Yeah, that's a good one. What do you know about the Ascended Masters? We hear all about masters and guides. What are the differences?
Well, what I see is there's some people call the angelic kingdoms, there's the Ascended Master kingdoms, and they tie into the spiritually and technologically advanced off-worlders that are coming here and our ancestors. it's really hard to disconnect like the Mary energy, divine feminine energies from the Pleiadian energy. They come together, and actually she came in from the Pleiades. So, and she was ancient Lyrian too. It's a long story, but the oldest form that's similar to us started in ancient Lyra, and then from there they went to the Pleiades, Hades, and Orion system, and from there they came to Earth, Mars, and Meladec, which is now the asteroid field. But it's all tied together. A lot of star seeds that are incarnated right now came from those higher dimensions, the same dimensions that some of the masters came in from. And some of the masters came in from the plane of bliss. They were done. They had no material need for a body or anything. And they're just pure love and joy and bliss. And they transcended all that. And they're here, coming here to teach. And a lot of these kids are coming in from those levels. And they're coming in from the Pleiades, the Orion system. Some are feline beings. And, you know, they're coming into these little earth bodies and having to deal with it, you know, which is, can be traumatic in its own.
So James, here's a question for you. Susan's wondering, has Sai Baba ever manifested at the ranch? What kingdom does he come from, or is he above it?
I know a person that was a disciple of Sai Baba, and she had a little temple that she had, and I sat there in her temple meditating, and the vibhuti, the ash, appeared. And then I saw him, and I saw another master appear next to him that had long dark hair and robes, and they appeared together. And there was some interesting things happening there with those groups. And you know, I don't want to get into it, but you know, it's you hear all these different stories, and some things. I always say, just because you have cities and abilities doesn't mean you've mastered all your chakras, you know? So you know, you have to use discernment, and always, whatever you're being taught, this goes back to the thing, when we worship others like that, we're giving our power away, and any master is here to empower you to make your own personal connection. So it's very important to get out of worship mode and stop worshiping external gods and masters. You know, if a master appears to you, give him a high five, you know, say, hey, what's up, you know, and talk to them on a one-on-one basis, because that's what they need to work with you. We hold them so far away, and that's where they are for us. They're closer than the hair on our heads. And the masters are right here. They're around us all the time. We just don't know how to access them.
Yeah, that's a very good point about not giving your power away, or worshiping, or even having human masters that you look up to a point where you're giving away your sovereignty. And also, when you look up to someone and you expect them to be some sort of guru for you, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. The more time you spend around the person, the more you're going to find out they're a person, and they're on the same journey as you.
That is so important. One of the first disclaimers I tell people, I'm not infallible. You know, I'm not your master. I'm not your guru. You are, and I'm just here to share and empower you. And people that hang around me, they know I have a wicked sense of humor. You know, I burp and fart like everybody else, and you know, it's just like, I'm human. You know, I have a human side, but you know, having the near-death experiences and the years of study with lamas and yogis and things, I've learned to just have fun while I'm down here and not take things so seriously, and to get out all this PC correct nonsense. I mean, that's so enslaving. You know, we have to be authentic, you know, and just love ourselves despite all that, and have fun with it. You know, everything becomes funny when you become enlightened. It's kind of hilarious.
Yeah. Well, let's see, what else have you seen in there, question-wise?
Well, somebody is asking here for you to explain the energy at ECETI, what newcomers could expect.
No, before you answer that, when I've gone to Sedona and other vortex points, and when you arrive, you feel kind of drunk and dizzy for the first day or so. I had the same type of reaction both times I went to your ranch. The first about 24 hours, I was kind of teetering around, you know, so that's a very normal thing for a vortex point.
Yeah, there's an old saying, you know, they call it drunk with spirit, and there's so much energy here, and everybody's going to experience it differently. I've seen some people come here and just pass out, and they sleep most of the whole time they're here. I've had other people come and they go, I'm home, you know, I feel this pure love and joy and bliss, you know, I'm home. And I said, well, wait about 3 days. And they go, why? And I said, well, about 3 days, all your stuff is going to come up, because that very energy you're experiencing has a frequency and it's going to bring everything up. And so you have an opportunity to heal that, to clear it. And you have all this beautiful, graceful energy to do that and people to help you. Or you can go into blame and projection and make this into something evil and bad. And that's unfortunate. That's what people do. You know, some people will come here and just have an amazing opening and clearing. And that's the majority of the people have an amazing experience. But we do have some people that come here and just come unglued now and then. And we give them every opportunity to heal and clear. And if they don't want to, we have to, like, you know, ask them to find their own perfect place, you know, somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see, what else do we have?
Well, here's the question. Are the Hindu gods aliens?
Yeah. Well, you know, a lot of the blue beans that you're seeing are, I think my internet went unstable here. Okay, we're back. Okay, a lot of the blue beans are copper based. And just like we're iron based, they're copper based, and they're inner earth. They came up from the inner earth. And so a lot of the scriptures, ancient scripture, will talk about them. Some are from different planets, different systems. You know, basically in the Bible, they talk about the gods. You know, it's plural. Elohim is plural. The ancient Anunnaki that people refer to, almost all religions have a god. Even the Greek gods, the Egyptian gods, you know, Yahweh, Jehovah, all these guys are all tied to the Anunnaki. And they're all similar, and some behaved in a very loving, compassionate, empowering way, and some were very self-serving. And that's why, unfortunately, in Christianity, and a lot of people are going to take exception with this, in the Old Testament, you have this jealous, wrathful, genocidal maniac, basically, if you read it. And in the New Testament, you have this all-loving, all-forgiving God. And when Yeshua or Jesus came in, he said, I bring to you a new covenant, you know, an image of an all-loving, all-forgiving God. And people don't understand, because it's either God is totally schizophrenic or there were two different beings in the past. And if you're holding the image of the wrathful God that you can never measure up to, and that's going to punish you or harm you, you're not going to make your connection, because you have to release that and focus on love and joy and bliss. And that's the highest level of source. And that's the one, you know, the all loving, all forgiving God that we want to connect to. And the temples within, you know, actually your temple is your soul, and your soul sits right next to the heart in a little cavity, a little chamber there. And so it's through the heart that you connect to the soul, which is connected to the source. And we have it, a lot of people want to use the mind to get there. The mind is a terrible master. It's a great slave, and the heart should be the one driving you. The soul should be driving you in all your decisions.
Do you have another?
Well, here's one. Do you have any information on the plasma beings? This person says they met a plasma being, and the plasma being, wait, let's see. I met a being. She said she was a plasma being. She showed me how to become one of the Merkaba ships she was a part of, like you just mentioned about the cat beings. She said she was from Inner Earth, and this was like 18 years ago.
Yeah. Well, you know, plasma energy is like the orbs would be like plasma energy. There's a part of us in our higher dimensional aspect, we're all orbs, and we can actually, I have orbs coming out of the center of my chest, which you can travel as an orb with 360 degrees and travel through dimensions and everything else. We all have that capability. Some of the orbs we're seeing are other higher beings that are doing that. And some of them is our own self coming back from a higher dimension, checking this out. But the whole phenomenon about orbs and plasma and everything else, it's just a level of energy and consciousness. And we can create plasma ourselves. You know, we can generate plasma. There's so many levels to that, you know, especially with the orbs. When I see a dark, murky orb, that's usually not a very evolved being. You know, then you do clearings. When you see the higher ones, the beautiful colors, the light ones and things like that, especially the blue ones and things, those are very advanced beings. You know, they're coming in and they're just beings without bodies. They just don't have a form or a body. They probably once had one, but they transcended it and they're coming in on a whole different dimension.
What dimension are the fairies and the little people, nature spirits?
Yeah, they're throughout the 4th, 5th, and 6th, and depending on their evolution, the height of in the 4th dimension, in the lowest 4th dimension, you have the kind of the demons and aliens and grays and kind of nasty stuff. In the mid 4th dimension, you have everybody incarnating, like as usual, the people that aren't really enlightened, but they're good people. They're returning and reincarnating. And then in the higher 4th dimension, you have guides and teachers, but they're still stuck on the wheel. And they can't get off the wheel because they have a separation game going on inside of them where they have a religious program or a cultural program. So you have to transcend all culture and religious programming to get into unity consciousness, and then you go into the 5th dimension. And so on the higher 4th, you'll see a lot of, I've seen 6th dimensional elven beings. They're just beautiful beings, very loving. We have photographs of fairies flying through the sky here with a crystal in their hand. Little gnomes. We had a gnome once that I think it was a 6th dimensional being. So they're all throughout that spectrum. You want to stay out of the lower 4th dimension because that's, you know, a lot of astral travel. You go into that area, and a lot of people that do drugs or keep themselves wide open accidentally open up to the lower 4th dimension, and you have a lot of problems. I think any institute that is taking care of people that are having those problems should do healings on a regular basis and keep the energy clear, and then teach the people that are in there how to clear themselves. I've had people scheduled to be interned into these places, you know, put into the rubber room basically. And they came to me and I cleared the energy and I told them what was going on and showed them how to keep their own energy clear. And now they're counselors and living in Hawaii and things like that. They're doing great. And all they had to know is which voices to talk to and how to heal the negative ones, the negative influences. That's all they needed to learn. And until somebody learns how to do that, helping them clear until they learn how to do it themselves.
Do you have that on your website, like how somebody does go about clearing themselves?
Yes. We have an explanation, and it's in my books. It's in Reunion with Source, Becoming Gods, and The Ultimate Soul Journey. It's in all the books. I don't know if I put it in Anunnaki Return, but that process, every book actually, because it's really important to keep it in there.
Let's see. For either one of you. So who was Jesus? Was he ascended master or incarnation of our galaxy's logos?
Well, let me go off of mine first, if you don't mind. I was actually talking with Mike yesterday, Mike Wiskowski. We were talking about how my first introduction to the Blue Avians, I had grown up with my grandfather being a Nazarene minister, so it was really encoded into me that if a being appears, you test the spirit. And I had done that even in the programs. And so I asked the Blue Avians, who do you serve? Who do you say Jesus is? And they bowed. And then they showed me this very quick download of the logos of the galaxy, the mind of the galaxy. And they showed me that the mind of the galaxy, the logos of the galaxy, was a fractal of the universe, which is a fractal of the one infinite creator. And within the galaxy, each star was an entity that was a fractal creator being. Yeah. And it worked all the way down to even us. Exactly. Our higher selves working down to our lower selves. And they showed me that they believed Jesus was the incarnation of the mind of the galaxy, and it was a big deal. ETs
Yeah.
came from all around to watch and see what happened, because it happens on other planets here and now and again, and it's always unique, and it's always a beautiful kickstart to the evolution in that star system. And that is what they shared with me in the blink of an eye, all of that, when I challenged the spirit and asked. So that's what the Blue Avians shared with me about who Jesus was.
Yeah, it's very accurate. What they explained to me was, it was really interesting. They said that he came in from the plane of bliss, which is what you'd probably call that universal consciousness, or what he was done. He already transcended all material need, everything, even a body. He was beyond that when he came in. When he incarnated, there was actually 12 masters that endowed him with their consciousness and energy and abilities, which is why he chose 12 disciples to emulate each one of those masters that he was working with. And the 13th was Yahweh. People get upset about that. There was Jehovah, which was the kind of the Old Testament God, and Yahweh is the all-loving, all-forgiving God. You know, a lot of people have different stories about that one. But Mary was ancient Lyrian. She had very pure genetics from went all the way back to ancient Lyra and tied to the Pleiades. And when Joseph said, I'm not going to marry her, you know, she's with child, I haven't known her, I haven't laid with her, he was really upset. Well, this light being appears to him, and he says, this is our child, this is God's child, you'll raise him as your own, basically. And he said, yes, sir, and took care of him. So anyway, so we had the genetics of Mary, which went back to ancient Lyra, very high genetics. And then you had this higher dimensional genetics merged to create the physical body of Jesus, or Yeshua ben Joseph is what his real name was. And they had to do that because if he would have incarnated into a regular body, he would have burned out the synapses. His life force, his soul force was too strong. So they had to actually create a vehicle for him to come in. And he was the exemplar Christ, you might say. He lived as an example for all of us to live. And his teachings were in his life, because in the beginning, he said, I said, I'm the Son of Man. He's the son of Joseph and Mary. That was his identity. And later on, he said, I'm a messenger. I'm getting messages from Creator, from Source, and he's delivering those messages at a very young age. And then he said, wait a second, I'm not this body and this personality, you know, I'm so much more than this body and personality, like God's my Father, you know, I'm the Son of God. And then later on, he said that I am God, which is total immersion, totally one. He became one with the one consciousness that encompasses all consciousness on all planes and dimensions throughout the multiverse. And so that example is what all of us need to do to gain enlightenment. You know, we're going to go through that process ourselves. We're going to have parents. We're going to believe they're God to us, our parents, and that's our identity. We're going to transcend that and realize that, you know, we're getting messages from higher dimensional beings. Then we're going to realize we're a soul, and that we're much higher than that we're not just this body and this personality. And we're going to realize our soul came from Creator. And as we expand in awareness, we're going to take in all these other planes and dimensions throughout the multiverse and meet all these wonderful beings. I call them the beautiful many that are out there that are waiting to embrace us, you know, when we go through this process. Didn't want to go biblical on you, but that's a little bigger story about what's going on.
That's just a follow-up question.
But that's okay. You can go biblical on this.
Yeah.
Let's see. What did you say? You found another one that piqued your interest?
Oh, there's so many, actually.
A lot of really good questions in the room.
One thing that I see a lot of people asking, and it might have been 20 minutes ago, but somebody was asking, how can they summon ships when they live in the city? And then another person asked this, and I thought this was a good question. I would like to summon craft to my brother's farm. Is there any danger in summoning these ships? Like, do you need to be careful of what you're summoning? Are there
Yeah.
protocol to
That's a good
follow?
question for James.
Yeah, again, there's, as I said, there are low-level beings that you don't want to work with. And there are certain people in ufology that are actually working with these beings, and people are giving their power away to them. They need to wake up and look what's standing behind them. But, it is very important. The mind in which you seek is the mind in which you connect. So you focus on love and joy and bliss, and then you send that out, and you want to connect with beings of like mind. And you can test them when they come to you, like Corey was saying, do you come in the name of the Christ? Why, what's your intention? There's different ways of testing them. And it is important. And you do clearings anyway. I do clearings. And if they're still around, I'll talk to them. If they leave, then they weren't anybody I wanted to talk to. But it is important to realize that there are beings out there that are not in their highest and best good. There are people that are invoking these beings and bringing them in and creating huge networks and things. There's a spiritual warfare going on over human consciousness. And we need to discern, use universal laws discernment. Are they creating heaven on earth? Is it all about them? Are they sucking up all your energy and power as, creating themselves as being messiahs? Are they empowering you to have your own contact? Are they, there's a lot of questions we need to ask. And if they've got these massive egos, walk away. It's a distraction, basically.
Okay, so what else do we have? There's so many. I mean, the Q&As, I mean, there are a lot of questions.
Such good questions. There is one on Mary Magdalene. And what was her relationship with Jesus? I'm trying to find the question. But it had to do with Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, I can go on that one.
What was her role?
I've had a lot of contact with her, and she's just beautiful. And she's a dancer. She loves dancing, and she spins and swirls and creates vortexes to bring in the higher dimensional beings. She was actually part of the royal family. She went through all the wisdom teachings and the initiations. She was very, very advanced, and she helped Jesus to ascend, basically. Also, Mary was one of his profound teachers, So we got to give the kudos to the divine feminine. A lot of people just push that out of the way, unfortunately, but it had a very extreme impact on the earth, and we need to bring it back. But beautiful being. All the thing I can say, I'll tell you a little story. This is kind of like bad, but I was meditating once, and she kept coming to me, and I would feel her energy, and you just fall in love with these beings, And then I'd be meditating, and Jesus would pop in, and I go, I got a confession to make. I'm in love with Mary. And he goes, everybody is, And but it was pretty funny because these beings are so full of love, and it's not a carnal type thing. It's a heart thing and a spirit thing. You fall in love with them. Especially like the Pleiadians, they exude this beautiful, loving, joyous, blissful energy. And, you're around them and you just get high. Being around them, and you're just so grateful for them, connecting with you and being in your presence. And that's, hopefully we can all rise to that ourselves and find that same energy within ourselves. And that's why they're here.
This is kind of switching gears a bit, but about the Schumann resonance, either James or Corey. Can you speak about people's sensitivity to the Schumann resonance? For example, I hear it all the time, but my wife hardly ever hears it. Why do some people hear it more than others?
Hear it? You mean like
the Schumann
the
resonance?
tinnitus kind of it's ringing in ears? Or I don't...
Well, I guess he's saying that he can hear the Schumann resonance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, some people are very sensitive. Do you want to take that, Corey? You want me to go with it?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, some people are very, very sensitive, and they'll hear. A lot of times when I hear the ringing in my ear, that's high frequency communication coming straight into my subconscious that I'm going to use later. And those are the higher dimensional beings. The Schumann resonance is part of the awakening and healing process. It's off the scale right now. I've never seen anything like it. It's you know, energy in, garbage out, basically is what's going on, the simple form. But whenever you have an influx of all this higher energy coming in, light energy is conscious. There's consciousness coming in as well. And it's coming from a lot of different sources. And the earth is just rising in consciousness. I think it was at 50 hertz just recently or something like that. You know, it's usually what, 7.8 or something. But I mean, it's creating a quickening, it's creating an ascension, it's creating a healing. And unfortunately, that energy is going to create chaos. That's part of the healing process, because it's like the, oh God, what's that thing? Where they vibrate the sand. I'm trying to think of the name of that.
Oh, liquefaction? Will you vibrate this?
No, it takes all kinds of different forms.
Oh, yeah, the frequencies.
God, what is
Right.
that called? Is it?
I can't remember.
What's it? Damn, I can't think of it. But anyway, when they take the sand and they start rising the frequencies on it, different frequencies, it takes a new geometric pattern. And then you raise it up again and it goes into chaos, and then it forms a new pattern. And you raise it up again, it goes into chaos and forms a new pattern. Well, that's what's happening. Every level of frequency that's coming in, it's getting exponentially stronger and stronger, and we're having to adapt to it. And it's creating change on every level. Even our DNA is changing. Every cell, every atom in our body is changing. We're moving up in frequency, and we're merging with our higher selves, you might say. That's part of the process.
This one's kind of interesting. James, you might want to take this one. This says, since for a few months, I have had tinnitus with different frequency every day at the same time between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. What does it mean? Kicker here. He says he's been deaf since birth.
Yeah, I don't get it's a physical problem within him. I think it's communication. And a lot of times they'll pick a time to communicate with you, you know, to get in a habit. And it probably is that high frequency communication coming in from the other beings that he's connected to. And you know, it's his star family trying to contact him. And it, you know, that communication comes in from the Pleiades, Orion Council of Light, Arcturians. All of them use those frequencies, and they have different hums to them, different tones, you might say. But what you do is, after that comes in, just know you got to download and sit with it, meditate on it, and ask, you know, what is it I need to know? You know, what, you know, because it's going to bleed out later when you need it. You know, you'll have this knowledge or wisdom, even a warning sometimes, you know, like to not go there, you know, or don't connect with this person. Might not be in your highest and best good.
Just a personal question. Do you notice a difference between the ears? I've heard some people say, well, when I hear a tone in the left ear, it means this. The right ear, it means this.
I get a strong tone in my left ear when the Pleiadians are coming, and my whole left side starts vibrating. And I feel energy through my left side. When the Orion Council of Light come in, I usually feel them on my right side, especially if it's a male energy. I work a lot with a being by the name of Hayog, and he's part of the Orion Council of Light. He's been around forever, and he's part of the planetary liberation. And a lot of times your star families will, that's how you can find out who your star families are, just by the frequencies coming to you and how they interact with you. You know, if they're male or if they're female, or a lot of the Pleiadian energy feels it's very matriarchal, it's more female.
Okay.
Definitely going to get to some more of these questions. These were good.
Oh, somebody had an interesting question. Do you think any of our leaders are in contact with ETs?
100%. There's a lot of the top leaders on the planet, and this is going to get me in trouble because a lot of people have a lot of hate going on out there. But things are not as you think they are. And a lot of dramas are being acted out and played out and things like that. The big picture is the higher dimensional beings are in control. And it's a process and that's going on. And a lot of almost all the major leaders on the planet know they're here. They know they have to get into alignment with them. They know it's time. The masters are also working with them as well. And we're seeing a big playing out, and they can't just flip the switch and everybody jump at once. It has to be a process, because people would go crazy because their whole world is going to collapse. And a lot of people they've looked up to, like movie stars and other leaders, they're going to find out how dark and dirty a lot of them are. And so this is a process that has to happen, just so everybody just doesn't go revolution, and create, a serious problem. And you can see it being played out in the news. You've got the lamestream news, what our POTUS calls fake news, and they have their agenda, and their agenda is totally aligned with the global elite and just create fear. And you have other side that is bringing out more of the truth, but they never give you the whole truth. And then you have the citizen journalists that are out there, and they're the ones that are really blowing the whistle off of everything. So if you really want to know what's going on, I would go with a lot of the citizen journalists. And they're not going to sugarcoat it, they're not going to hold back, and they're just going to call these guys out on who they are and what they're doing and their past, because a lot of these people we think are these entrepreneurs that are here to help the planet are doing exactly the opposite. They're not who you think they are.
Well, here's a question. What's the best way to open communication with your guides?
I'll tell you what a Lama told me I studied with. He said there's so few enlightened beings on this planet. He said because it's so damn simple. And he said, get out in nature, focus on love and joy and bliss until you become it. And really that is it. Get out in nature, keep your thoughts high, focus on love and joy and bliss, the higher consciousness and energy. And when the other stuff comes up, own it, heal it, process it. Ask the higher dimensional beings to help you heal and process, the wounds and traumas and wrong conclusions from past experiences. We set up our enlightenment. We choose how our path is going to be. Some people are going to take a really long path, and some people are going to have the big aha. And some people have agreements that other beings are going to come to them and restore their memories. That happened with me. I had all my memories restored, not this on this planet, but off world as well. And because I had an agreement before I came in, and when I was a child, I was going before councils and things like that. I didn't know what the big picture was. I'm still getting most of the big picture. I don't have all of it, but there's so many different ways of doing it. But it can happen in an instant. Or if you think you have to, meditate for 10 hours a day and go to all these sessions and all these other things, and that's the way you set it up, that's what you need to do. It's up to us, basically.
Agreed. It's always up to us.
Yeah. We go like this, we go, come here, we're going, come here, like this. And we need to go, come here, just let it all come in. Yeah.
Let's see. Did you want to do a few more? I know we've kind of reached the end of the time frame.
I'm here to do whatever you want. So however long you want to go, I've got time.
Okay. Well, thank you. Yeah, we'll do a few more. I don't want to overutilize your time, but I really appreciate you taking the time to do the Q&A. And I hope everyone...
Yeah, I love being here, so no worries. Just wherever you go.
Yeah. And I hope everyone's enjoying the Q&A that we're doing today. We're going to do this format every once in a while. We're still going to do all 10 of the courses, but from time to time, we're going to do these Q&As and bring in people live. So that's going to just be even more content that we're bringing. And also, please, next week, we're going to be studying getting into the trauma part of the course. And over the next week, please go and watch the Dr. Star McKinnon video. Make sure you've watched the Dr. Bloom video, and also the Jeffrey Asher video that we're going to post this week. We're going to be posting the video we shot with James here very soon when we focus on the spiritual warfare aspect. So I just wanted to set everybody's expectations on that. And also, I hear everyone's enjoying the Shanti's vegan cooking class. We're very happy about that. So we have more of those coming. Stay tuned.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job. I love what you're doing. I looked at your formatting and everything. I go, well, this is awesome. You know, this is what the planet needs right now.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
that's the, you know, we came out and we gave disclosure. I gave my story, the information of my experience. And now I think I've been told that the thing to focus on is helping people heal from their traumas, deal with their karma, and prepare for this consciousness expansion event that's ongoing, occurring right now, and to help us prepare for it. And I can't think of anything I would rather do.
Yeah, one thing, you know, a lot of people ask me, what do you think about Corey Goode? And I tell them, I said, you know, his heart is pure and his intentions are right on. And that's what I go by. And those are the people I hang out with. And, you know, and a lot of people are going to throw all kinds of dirt at that, but I don't give a damn, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, I look at people and I look at their intention, I look at their heart, and that's the people I like to work with. And that's what people need to do. They need to drop into the heart and sense and feel what's happening versus getting into all this drama and all this other nonsense going around. And, you know, we've all gone through it. I don't want to drop a low on this, but we're all going through it. And really, I am having my own near-death experience and everything else. I'm good with the source. I mean, we're buds, you know, Yeshua, the masters, you know, we're high-fiving each other. It's all, I'm good with them. I'm not good with a lot of people on the planet that want to continue with the nonsense, you know,
Right.
but that's okay. If they're throwing spears at me, I know I'm in the right space. You know, I'm doing the work, and it comes, you know, it comes with the territory. And, you know, we just have to practice that loving detachment and not get involved with. And every once in a while, you know, the lion comes out, and I'll call them out on their stuff, you know, and just say, look, knock it off. You know,
Well,
you know, this is who you are, and this is what you're doing. And it's time to heal. You know, let's quit.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's the last several years have been very difficult. It took a while for me to, you know, break out of the victim mode and then start seeing all of these people as these 9-year-old children attacking me, these damaged inner children, you know. And it's been put in perspective. All of the people, everything that they accuse me of, it's exactly what they're doing. And it's a lot of mirroring and projecting going on. And I'm the screen, apparently, for a lot of people to project on. And I'm being of service to others in that way. It's not very pleasant, but through the process people have witnessed me going through, also those who have spent time with me, unintentionally, I've been a catalyst for a lot of people. And sometimes it's been beautiful light that has come from them, and other times that beautiful light has been shined inwardly and revealed things to them that they did not like, and that they could not look at, and they had to lash out. And there's been a lot of that that's gone on too. It's been very difficult, but I appreciate people like you, the people that have stuck with me and have, you know, stated that they stuck with me because of my intentions and my approach. Yeah, things have been pretty rough, but you know.
Well, that's the whole thing. None of us are infallible, you know, but all that matters is, I like what Muhammad said. He said, there's no perfect men, only perfect intentions. And we're going to make mistakes as we go along. We probably say, hey, maybe I could have done that better. And that's how we gain wisdom through experience. But I know that what's really important is where your heart, you know, are you creating heaven on earth? What is your intention? And that's all you have to do is ask the questions of these people that are just, you know, they're sitting at their computers and throwing out all this drama and accusations and slander and everything else. And all you have to do is ask one question. Are you creating heaven on earth? And where's your come from? Are you coming from a victim? Are you projecting all your unhealed wounds and traumas outside of yourself? You know, like, what are you doing here? And that's where people need to come from is look at that. Just say, look, just ask that question. Are you creating heaven on earth? You know, what are your intentions in doing this? And And when we go back to that, everything just goes away. And we have to be good with ourselves. You know, it's just like, I've made mistakes. You know, I admitted one in 1968 that I didn't really make. But I mean, that's a joke. I was just kidding. But we all make mistakes. You know, we're all doing the best we can. And you're dealing with humans and the human experience. And the whole planet is very wounded. It's been very traumatized. And we're coming out of that. And so we have to support the process and support each other's process versus trying to beat them down or get even or get your power back by taking them down. That never works. It just, you know. And a lot of people, you know, I've been in this for like 36 years intensely, and I've seen almost everything. And now I just look at it and I just go, here we go again. You know, it's just like, and it doesn't matter to me more. You know, the more you practice that loving detachment and you're clear with yourself of what your intention are and that you are a good person, and you're going to make mistakes now and then, you know, but as long as you're solid with that, you know, we can all get through this and just not pay attention to those that are creating a whole different reality. They're trying to tear everything down.
Yeah, you know, even some in the light community, even people that I had, you know, worked closely with, they had rationalized a lot of things, you know, and behaved badly, and it's really hard to see. You know, it's you're watching people from the enlightened community that are succumbing to some of their own distortions, and I came very close to succumbing to some of my distortions as well, if I hadn't had that Anshar intervention a number of months back. So we're all, you know, really battling against our own distortions, you know, not really trying to decide whether we're going to accept those and integrate those distortions and grow, or if we're just going to live in denial from them and project onto others. And a lot of those people have made their obvious choice, and it's really sad, but it's their choice, and we have to detach from that, allow them to burn through their own karma and their own process, and focus on our own. It sounds a little selfish, but we have to guard our energy, because people all through this community, light workers and those who embrace the darkness, all of them are having a really difficult time with these energies right now, and distortions are on display.
Yeah, I think, you know, especially in the UFO community, the spiritual community, and even the religious community, I know we've just really pushed some buttons just with this interview with some people, and, you know, that comes with the territory, but a lot of people are really going, God, I knew that I'm just reminding people of the knowledge within them, and they're getting it. But it is sad, because they're all going to have to go through a transformation. All those communities are going to have to go through a transformation to get to the truth and the real history of Earth and who they are and their connection to Source. And they're all in this transition. And those of us that are bringing that knowledge in are, you know, we're, it's the old saying, pioneers get the most arrows. I shouldn't say that, because half of me's Native American, but anyway, you know, some of them deserve the arrows, but anyway, it's, you know, it comes, you know, if you're over the target, you're going to get a lot of flack, and that's just the way it is. And I accepted that, you know, before I knew that was going to happen when I came in. And it does make you sad to get caught up in it, because people could be so much more. They have the potential within them is to be a god or a goddess, this loving, joyous, powerful, loving being. And they don't always choose that potential, unfortunately. And they go off, you know, they choose to identify with their patterns and their wounds and traumas. And what I've seen, I love this one Lama said, all of our personal problems come from us thinking we're a person, and they come from the ego and the person and if we let go of that, the problems go away. And I want to leave on one thing too. After I had my near-death experience, the second one, I had a couple of white light experiences, and a being by the name of Ezekiel, which is an ascended form of Ezekiel who merged with Cassia, came to me, pulled me out of my body, and took me up into space. And I was looking back at the Earth, and it was a little pinpoint. And he told me, he goes, this is who you are, and there's your problems. And he pointed back at this little pinpoint. And that is one of the reasons why we have so many problems, because we forgot who we really are. And we're caught up in all these little pinpoint nonsense things that are so powerful and real, we think, but it's just an illusion. It's all drama, and it's all about getting back to who you really are, and then you can walk through this mess pretty much unscathed. And you got to go back to center. Basically, you always go back to center, who you are, and then you can deal with this stuff. But if you don't, you're just going to get run over, by the process.
Okay. Yeah, that's really important to. It's really important to remember as we're going through this process, to guard our energy, to show others love and compassion, but not to get drawn into their vortex of karma and trauma that they're trying to process. We can still be loving and give them energetic support and be there for them in other ways. But we all really need to guard our own energy right now and try to build that energy up, protect it, so we can fulfill the mission that we're here for. James, I think this is a great way to end it. I really want to appreciate your continued support, your time this evening, answering all of these questions. Is there anything you wanted to leave the students with?
Basically what it all boils down to is that, the 9th wave we're going through right now is wave after wave after wave. It's called unity consciousness, and it's exponentially getting stronger. And the basics are, and ask yourself and your friends and everybody, are you creating heaven on earth? And what does that mean to you, basically? But you can, catch people and catch yourself and help people understand what's going on by just saying, are you creating heaven on earth? Where are you going with this? And it's a reset. It really helps people to reset and get back in touch with what's important. And also universal law is coming in with this higher consciousness. And if you need a format to measure against where you're going with things, it's like, are you creating universal peace? Are you aligned with brother, sisterly love? Individual freedom and prosperity for everybody? Are you in service? And you just go by that foundation and use that as a measuring tool to get you through these times. Because if you don't do that, if we don't align with that energy and rise to the occasion, we're not going to be frequency specific to the ascension that's going on with the whole planet. And so a lot of these other beings are not frequency specific, and they're not going to be able to make this shift and by their own choosing. And so we just need to choose, are we going to be the ones that take the upward spiral into ascension? Or are we going to be the ones that take the downward spiral and continue with the fear, greed, and competition and all the other nonsense? And those are the two options right now. It's resistance is futile. The Earth's ascending. You either get with the program or you're going to have problems, basically.
Yeah.
Thank you, James. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. We may release this episode on YouTube to kind of show people the kind of topics that we're talking about. If you don't mind, go onto social media, share, what you think about the course. I'd really appreciate it. Like I said, pay attention to the emails. We're also thinking about having some of you submit video clips of yourselves asking questions and then plug it in to the process here. I think that would be a lot of fun as well.
That would be cool.
So I guess next we're going to be closing, and we're going to have our exit meditation. And I hope everyone sticks around, goes through the meditation, and set your intent for growth, healing, and processing of karma in a way that's going to allow you to be the best you at your mission. Thank you for joining us at Accelerating Ascension, and we'll see you next week.
All right, keep up the great work, and wonderful meeting you, Stacy. I'm glad you're piloting there, and thank you for all the work you're doing.
Thanks.
All
I
right.
can't wait to meet you in person.
See you in July.
Yes.
All right, see you then.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh